All right, in this video, we are going to talk about point-slope form. And so we've talked about slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. And written as an ordered pair, it's 0, comma, whatever that number is. Okay, so for point-slope form, you still have the slope, but now we have this x1, y1, and that's just any point on the line. So it's great when we don't have the y-intercept and we have some other point. Okay, so the setup is y minus the y, and so when you see these minus signs, think opposite. Opposite. Y minus the y equals m parentheses x minus the x. So that's a huge difference between point slope and slope intercept form. For slope intercept form, y is by itself, y equals, and then for point slope form, we have these parentheses and we have y minus something. Okay, and so example 1, write an equation of a line that has a slope of 5 and goes through the point 14, 9. Okay, and so our slope is 5, our x-coordinate is 14, our y-coordinate is 9. Okay, and so to set up the formula, it's y minus the y equals m x minus the x. Okay, and so to plug these into the formula, m goes in front of the parentheses, in front of x. The x-coordinate goes inside the parentheses with x, and then the y-coordinate goes on the other side with y. Okay, and so the last step is to convert to slope-intercept form. Usually tests like slope-intercept form, and so to convert our equation, I'm going to rewrite it here. To slope-intercept form, your first step is to get rid of the parentheses. We need to distribute and then isolate the y by moving this 9 to the other side of your equation. So we need to add 9, inverse operations. Okay, and so that is our slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Okay, and so number 2, write an equation of a line that has a slope of negative 1/3 and goes through the point 8, negative 4. So to identify our m is negative 1/3, our x-coordinate is 8, and our y-coordinate is negative 4. So set yourself up, y minus the y equals m parenthesis x minus the x. M goes in front of the x. The x-coordinate goes inside the parentheses with x. The y-coordinate goes with y. Notice we have a minus negative situation. Anytime you see a minus negative, you need to simplify your answer to y plus 4. Okay, so if they don't specify slope-intercept form, you can leave your equation just like this. This is the correct point-slope form in its simplified form. If they want you to convert to slope-intercept form, first you distribute, and we would get negative 1/3 x plus negative 1/3 times negative 8 is positive 8/3. And then our last step is to subtract the 4. And so we need to figure out what this 8/3 minus 4 is. 8/3 minus 4, that's the same thing as 4 over 1. We need to convert this to a third to get our common denominator. 8/3 minus 12/3 equals negative 4/3. Okay, and so our final answer would be y equals negative 1/3 x minus 4/3, coming from there. And so that is the correct slope-intercept form. Okay, now it says write an equation of a line that goes through the point -5, 2, and has a slope of 1/2. So there's our slope. Here's our point. x1 is -5, y1 is 2. So y minus the y equals m x minus the x. So our slope goes in front of x, our x coordinate goes with the x, our y coordinate goes with the y. And so we need to simplify by changing our minus negative to a plus. And so our final answer for point slope form would have an x plus 5. Whenever you're looking at point slope form, whatever you see with x, take the opposite for your x coordinate. So I see a plus 5, my x coordinate was actually -5. I see a -2, I see my y coordinate was actually +2. So that's how you read point slope form. Okay, and we'll leave it like that since they didn't specify to convert. Okay, this next one, it says write an equation of a line that goes through the points 2, 5, and 7, 15. So we don't have the slope anymore. Okay, and so when that's the case, they did give us 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and we have a formula to find the slope. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, change in y over change in x. And so y2, first of all, let's set up our fraction bar with the minus signs. That's how the formula works. And then y2 is 15, y1 is 5. x2 is 7, x1 is 2. And so we get 10 over 5, which we know simplifies to 2. So now we have our slope, and then you can use either point. I'm going to use x1, y1. You get to pick whichever one you want. And so x1 is 2, y1 is 5, y minus the y equals m x minus the x. So now we know our slope is 2, we know our x1 is 2, we know our y1 is 5. If you wanted to use the other point, this x coordinate is 7, the y coordinate is 15, but the slope is still 2. Okay, and so when we convert this to slope-intercept form, we should get the same answer. 2x minus 10, add your 2, and so we get y equals 2x minus 8. Over here, we get 2x minus 14 after the distribution. And then when we add the 15, we get y equals 2x. Uh-oh. Oh, I messed up my points. Y minus the y equals x minus the x. It's a good way to find your mistake. Okay, and so we have a y minus 5, and then when we distribute the 2, we get 2x minus 4. Now, when we add 5 to both sides, we get y equals 2x plus 1. And same over here, we get y equals 2x plus 1. So it should be the same. All right, another example, we have write the equation of a line that goes through -3, 5, and -1, -5. So our first step is to find the slope using our y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so fraction bar minus signs, -5, +5, and then -1, -3. Okay, and so -5 minus 5 is -10. -1 minus -3 is -1 plus 3, which would give us a +2, which simplifies to -5. Okay, and so our slope is -5. Use either point. I'm going to use x1 and y1. So y minus the y equals mx minus the x. M is -5. X is -3. Y is 5. And so y minus 5 equals -5, and then we would have x plus 3. And I'm going to leave it just like that, point slope form. Okay, these next few are kind of redundant, so I'm going to skip to 8, 9, and 10. When you see horizontal and vertical lines, you aren't going to use slope-intercept form or point slope form. It's either going to be x equals an equation or y equals an equation. So a trick is look at which axis the line is crossing. This line is crossing at y equals -4, so y equals -4 is our equation. Y equals our horizontal line, so we have y equals 1, y equals 2, y equals 3. You name the equation based on which axis it crosses. And so this would be x equals 3 because it's crossing the x-axis at 3. Okay, and then here we do have a slanted line, and so that's when we can use either point slope form or slope intercept form. And so for slope-intercept form, we need the y-intercept, which looks like it's about 2.5. And so you could either guess that it's 2.5, or you could pick two obvious points, like -1, 1, and 1, 4. -1, 1, and 1, 4. And we can still count the rise. The rise is 3, the run is 2. And so my slope would be 3 over 2. But now instead of using that 2.5 and just guessing, we can use point slope form. Y minus the y equals mx minus the x. And so my m, we just counted, was 3 over 2. And if we used our slope formula, we would have gotten the same thing. And then you can use either of these points. I'm going to use this as my x and y. So x is 1, y is 4. And then if they don't specify slope-intercept form, which they didn't, you can leave your equation in point slope form. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and convert it just so we can verify that the y-intercept is about 2.5. And so when I distribute the 3 halves, I get 3 halves x minus 3 halves. And then when we add 4 to both sides, we need to figure out what -3 halves plus 4 is. So I'm going to get my common denominator, which gives me -3 halves plus 8 halves, which is 5 halves, which we know is 2.5. So it does work out to be what we expected. And so that would be our slope-intercept form. And so we can write both. Y equals 3/2 x plus 5/2. Okay, so these next 4 examples, the last 4, we are talking about horizontal and vertical lines. And so remember, a horizontal line has a slope of 0. A vertical line has an undefined slope. Okay, and so for each of these examples, I like to sketch a picture. So it says write an equation of a line that has a slope of 0 and goes through the point 4, 1. So the first thing I do is graph that point at 4, 1. And then a slope of 0 is horizontal. So it's going to look just like that. And so because it's crossing the y-axis at 1, the equation of this line is y equals 1. Done. Okay, don't need a formula. Just look at which axis it crosses. So this next one says write an equation of a line that has an undefined slope and goes through the point 4, 1. So first thing I do is get a rough sketch of where that point is. And then undefined is vertical. So this line crosses the x-axis at 4. There's my equation. X equals 4. So all undefined slopes have x equals a number, and all 0 slopes have y equals a number. Okay, and so when you're given a point, you can skip to y equals the y coordinate or x equals the x coordinate. You're not going to have y equals 4 because that's the x value. So for example, it says slope of 0. I know it's going to be y equals, and it goes through the point -5, 3. That's the y value. So I know this equation is going to be y equals 3. Okay, undefined slope, I know is going to cross the x-axis, so it's going to be x equals, and I can steal the x coordinate for my answer. So that's a shortcut if you don't want to sketch it. Of course, I love sketching it, so either method works.